Hello, and welcome to Toylab. I'm Ronen Kauffman, and I love toys. Specifically, I'm into vintage Transformers toys, mostly from the 1980s. I love everything about Transformers, from the toys themselves, to the packaging, the paperwork, the cartoons, and the fan community. But if you're anything like me, whether it's Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Masters of the Universe, Lego, or anything else, you know that the plastics, pins, and other parts of our favorite toys just weren't designed to last 20, 30, or 40 years. As a result, many of the most awesome and desirable toys sought by collectors succumb to the ravages of time, leaving us with items that have become discolored, or smelly, sticky, or in need of repair. And even some of our modern toys wind up needing tweaks and adjustments right out of the package, not to mention the world of fan mods and customization, which of course takes toy hacking to the next level. With Toylab, I'll be bringing you easy fixes for many of the most common problems faced by toy collectors. There are plenty of online tutorials that cover the topics I'll be covering on Toylab, and I don't claim to have invented any of this stuff. And of course, there is often more than one way to slice an orange. So Toylab will showcase established methods for fixing and restoring toys, but executed the way I do them, using techniques and ideas I've developed after years of doing repairs and restorations. There's plenty of information out there on how to fix and restore toys and other collectibles, but I'm sharing what works for me. The proof, of course, is in the pudding, and once you see the exciting results I get along the way, you'll be more full of proof pudding than ever before in your entire life. So, thanks for watching, and be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. Our username everywhere is ToylabFriends. Send questions and comments and coupon codes to toylabfriends@gmail.com. So, let's get to the business of de-yellowing. Yellowing is the scourge of old plastics. It makes not only toys, but old game consoles and computer cases look plain awful. Our toys turn yellow due to the element bromine, which is found in flame retardants that are included in the production of consumer plastics. And that's a good thing because fire is bad. However, time, sunlight, and anecdotally long periods of heat can cause the bromine in your items to cause discoloration. The answer to de-yellowing is an application of hydrogen peroxide and ultraviolet light. I'll go over the materials in detail momentarily, but the key here is UV light, and in our case that means harnessing the power of the sun. Sunlight is the key to bringing your items back from Yellow Town. Now, as I said, there are variations on this process. Most folks seem to use a technique in which items are submerged completely in liquid hydrogen peroxide that may also contain a small amount of an activating agent like OxyClean. Some people add food thickener to liquid hydrogen peroxide and make a paste, and they apply it that way. Other folks use a UV lamp instead of the sun. The list goes on. There are also stories of items re-yellowing not terribly long after going through the process, but I've never experienced that, and I wonder if it has something to do with my specific technique, which is, by the way, among the simplest, fastest, and most effective ones you will find for de-yellowing old plastics. So, let's get to it. So the first toy we're going to try to de-yellow today is this Transformers Twin Twist. And as you can see here, and from the photos, he has quite a bit of yellowing. I picked him because you can really see the difference in the colors where the plastic yellowed and did not yellow. So it'll be a good example to see how close we can get it. The next toy we're going to attempt to de-yellow is this Transformers Pretenders Grimlock shell. It's the back of the shell. And this one also has a nice difference between the non-yellowed and the yellowed part, so we'll be able to see how effective the treatment was. And also, it's a slightly different kind of plastic. It feels and sounds like a slightly different kind of plastic, so we'll see how that goes. And then the last one we're going to try should be interesting because we're actually going to repurple a figure instead of de-yellowing it. As you can see here, I have a Snapdragon, Transformer Snapdragon, and on the purple part of the leg here, you can see time has sort of caused this part's okay, but this part has got a yellow tinge to it. And since I've done this de-yellowing on plastics colored other than white, I figured I would give the purple a try, even though I've never done that. So, in order to de-yellow, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need gloves. You're going to need eyewear. The eyewear is super important because although you can sustain some chemical burns on your hands, you can't really sustain them on your eyes, and the developer that you're going to use can splash around a little bit, so don't mess around, use the goggles or protective lenses. You're also going to need developer. This is 12%, 40 volume developer. You can get this at a beauty supply store, usually Sally Beauty. And this is hydrogen peroxide gel. I like the gel because it sticks. Other treatments for whitening involve submerging items in a complete liquid of hydrogen peroxide. I don't care for that method. I think this works much better. You're going to need some bags. You're going to need a brush, napkin or paper towel just to dab up anything that comes along, and a work surface. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my gloves. Alright, so we're ready, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our developer and we're going to apply it in the places where we see the yellow. We're going to be careful not to touch the chrome, and we're also going to be doing our best not to touch the stickers. Pins, screws, metal bits that are exposed to this stuff will develop a sort of white, dusty corrosion which can easily be sanded off. So we're going to just sort of do this. And it's covered nicely, and we're going to pop it in the bag. We've got Grimlock here. We're going to give him the same treatment. And finally, Snapdragon. We're going to do the yellow parts that are really purple, but have lost some of their purpleness over time. Some of these hands and feet. His chest plate has lost some color. And I don't really know how this one's going to turn out, but we'll do our best. And that's it. With this stuff, you are not supposed to pour it down the drain, so I like to pour the remainder in here. See, we are now at the easiest part of this process. I've taken the 3 items that were whitening, I've put them in the plastic bags, and I've put them outside in the sun on my ledge in a planter. The sun will work its magic. We'll leave them out there for a few hours, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, I've gone and I've pulled everything out of the chemical bath, out of the sun, and we're going to see how we did. How did we do? The answer is pretty awesome. First up, twin twist. Now, if you recall, let's take a look at the before picture. There's twin twist, and as you can see, especially on his feet, there's a considerable amount of yellowing. And one of the reasons that I picked him, as I mentioned prior, was that you can really tell the parts that have been discolored. You can distinguish them easily from the ones that hadn't. So, how did twin twist turn out? Check it out. That's right, he looks great. You can see that the areas by his feet have almost completely come back to life. And what's amazing about this process is that not only does the color reset to its original place, but the plastic takes on, in many cases, a feel of newness. It's kind of hard to explain. You can imagine somehow if you mess up a plastic toy by putting a chemical on it and it leaves the plastic with like a cloudy residue or something like that. This is the opposite of that. This is the plastic feels like shiny, new, and clean, and it's gleaming white. So twin twist, a super duper awesome success. Next, we're going to look at the pretender shell for Grimlock. Now, if you recall, Grimlock had a lot of yellowing in this area, as well as back here. Here's the before photo, and here's the after photo. And as you can tell, again, very successful with Grimlock. He got a lot of his original look back. There's still a little bit of discoloration on the shoulder area here, but if I ran it through a second pass, it would probably clear up almost entirely. So, slightly different plastic, different era for Hasbro's Transformers, but also effective with this technique. Now, Snapdragon. Snapdragon didn't turn out perfect, but he turned out a little bit better than I thought he would. If you recall, here's this before picture of the leg, and you can see that on the left side there's a bit of discoloration. The purple has taken on sort of like a yellowish, greenish look. Now here's the after picture, and you can see that it has improved quite a bit, but it's not perfect. I'm curious as to whether throwing it through the process another time would have any sort of effect. I did also put an application on the chest and some of these other parts, and I do believe that the yellow did dissipate quite a bit. So, a successful whitening adventure for Twin Twist and Grimlock here, and maybe less so for Snapdragon, but still pretty good. Listen, I've really enjoyed having you here on Toylab. I hope you'll tune in next time. Thanks so much for watching. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Tumblr. Username is Toylab Friends. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.